You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Glenn Maxwell Appreciation Podcast. Move over Ben Stokes. Move over everybody else. There's a new greatest innings of all time in town. The Big Show has given us the biggest ever show. Let's hope he flipping recovers from it because it looked like hard work. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Max Rowe Brown. How are you doing, Max, on what I think will forever now be known as Glenn Maxwell Day?
I am still a little bit speechless. I'm a little bit less speechless, which is good because we have to do a podcast which involves words. So, helpful that I've got over the initial stupor. But I mean, my God, that was something else. And yeah, cannot wait to get into it.
And we've got Ross. Ross, greatest innings of all time. It is, isn't it? Like, there's no question.
Yeah, and I think there's a massive sponsorship opportunity for Glenn Maxwell, right? It's 7-Eleven. There's an American convenience store. Cricket's getting big in the States. I think the 7-Eleven needs to be known as Glenn Maxwell Day, and they need to do a rebrand of their store. So if you work for them or you go to them, you're going down the Glenn Maxwell.
I don't want to be all... You're supposed to be yes and in these scenarios, aren't you? Not no but.
We're going to do a no date issue here.
Yeah, there's a date issue there, isn't there? Yeah, it's 11/7 today in the States, not 7-Eleven. But you do see some European offshoots of 7-Eleven, don't you, at petrol stations or whatever. So, on a much lower scale, probably more befitting cricket as a sport in general. Perhaps there's something we can do there. You're listening to the Cricket Podcast. We're going to be talking about two games today. The Glenn Maxwell special in what was one of the most sensational, ridiculous cricket matches of all time. I think Australia v Afghanistan. Afghanistan's hope's probably over. And then we'll be talking about another ridiculous contest, but for completely different reasons.
I thought this World Cup was dead, gents. I thought we were told we were going to have 16 days of pointless matches, and literally we just had one of the best games of all time.
They are pointless matches. It doesn't mean they're not entertaining. Like the nagging derby, Mathews v Shakib, the first timed out in international cricket. All the controversy that goes with that. Was it out? Wasn't it out? Did the umpires make a mistake? Spoiler, yes, they did. That'll be a bit later in the show. But we do need to cover Afghanistan, Australia first. Max, to the best of your ability, because this isn't an easy one. There's a bit of a hospital pass. Can you summarize? What just happened?
Well, Jack. When this game started, I thought I'd had enough excitement to last me a good few months after the sport yesterday. Obviously, you've already mentioned the timed out, and then in the evening, I sat down to watch a good old-fashioned London derby between Chelsea and Tottenham, which involved 2 red cards, 5 disallowed goals, 5 VAR checks for a red card, 9 yellow cards. 111 minutes, I think the game lasted, and a team down to 9 men playing a defensive line on the halfway line in one of the most bizarre.
One torn hamstring, one
ankle injury. It was insane.
5 real goals.
5 real goals. A hat trick for Nicholas Jackson. That's possibly the most surprising thing to have happened in the last 2 days of sport, to be fair. But yeah, I was all ready for a nice, calm, sensible game of cricket where Australia would steamroll Afghanistan. And in all the madness that's just befallen us, you might have you might be forgiven for actually forgetting that in all of this, Afghanistan scored their highest ever World Cup.
Really well.
Innings, 291 for 5. Ibrahim Zadran scored Afghanistan's first ever ODI World Cup century. And 291 for 5. They slowed down a little bit in the middle, but they scored 93, I think, in the final 10 overs of the innings. Really put Australia's bowlers to the sword towards the end and put up a pretty decent total. 300 never been chased at the Wankhede. It would have been a record chase for Australia to get there, and a really good performance from them with the bat. I mean, you could easily forget all of that. But
and we thought Afghanistan couldn't bat. Well, that's generally out there. We're just like it's happened in the last couple of games that other than Gurbaz, actually people could hit runs, which is quite nice.
Absolutely. So over to Australia, and I think 50-50 was where the ESPN win probability had it at the halfway stage, roughly. possibly slightly towards Afghanistan. I think that might have been fair. I think Australia had a job on their hands, but the bowling effort and the power play from Afghanistan was phenomenal. They picked 4 spinners, but it was the pacers that did the damage. The ball was hooping under the lights. Travis Head went early. David Warner was done by a crashing in-swinger. Marsh done in a very similar way. And before you knew it, Australia were staring down the barrel, especially after Marnus Labuschagne fell asleep at the non-striker's end and got himself run out while batting with Glenn Maxwell. And Josh Inglis going first ball. You could come and look at the scorecard and be like, wow, that was a bit crazy. But I guess Glenn Maxwell is the kind of guy that might do something like that. And then you'd forget that Glenn Maxwell faced the hat-trick ball, was nearly out, was dropped in the most embarrassing circumstance at short fine leg by Mujeeb, and then scored about 100 runs with no legs. Not even one leg, no legs. Literally couldn't move. By the end, it was a man standing with his feet nailed to the floor and just swatting a ball away like flies. And it was still going for 80-meter sixes. It is the most insane thing I have ever witnessed. I need to give about 4 hours back to the civil service because I've done nothing this afternoon. How was I going to do anything this afternoon with that on? It's insane. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And what a performance from Glenn Maxwell. And, a shout out to Pat Cummins as well for holding down another end, Jack Leach style, while his mate went ballistic and went to town. And just to top it all off, Mujeeb was the guy who conceded the runs at the end, having dropped Glenn Maxwell, going 6-4, 6-6 to finish it off. Glenn Maxwell very selfishly at the end as well, curating it so that he hit a 6 off the final ball to get his double century. It was incredible. What a game.
I've got a few records. We should probably start with them. I think it was the second most runs as a percentage of the innings by a single player. The first Australian to score a double 100 in ODIs. The first double 100 in an ODI chase. The first non-opener to score a double 100. The first double 100 by anyone batting 5 or lower, I think. Or no, sorry, not an opener. He's now got the most hundreds in a World Cup by a guy batting 5 or lower. All of that still doesn't really do it justice. I mean, Max, as you say, you look at the score. If you looked at the score, you'd be like, oh my God, I've missed one of the greatest days of cricket ever. And actually, my friend Dom sent me a message, just a screenshot saying, what the fuck's happened here? And I said, did you watch the highlights? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, you need to watch the highlights because it's even crazier than the scorecard. He got 201 of 190 of 293 runs. I mean,
they came in at 91 for 7, and it finishes 293 for 7. You're just like, what the hell has this guy done? Like, it's just like, it's incredible.
That's another one, record 8th wicket partnership. It was really something else. I was trying to think of something to compare it to, and I don't think it's really possible. I mean, I genuinely think across all of sports, this might be the greatest solo accomplishment.
I mean, it's got to be in
a one-off match. Like I think you look at the career of Lionel Messi or something like that, and you say, yeah, that was pretty good. The best I can come up with, Bob Beamon in the 70s, I think it was, broke the long jump record by 55 centimeters, which is astonishing. And I think you could combine that with something like the helmet catch in the Super Bowl against the undefeated New England Patriots, a famous sporting moment. Ross, is there anything that you would compare it to, or anything you'd add?
I think Paul Stalteri's winner against West Ham in the 4-3 thriller from Spurs a few years ago, that was pretty good. But I think a lot of cricket purists will come back at you and kind of say, well, actually, the Ben Stokes thing at Headingley was pretty spectacular, right, in that space to win that test match from that position. Arguably a better bowling lineup than the Afghanistan's, but arguably not brilliant fielding for the Australians in that one, if we do recall. So maybe that's on par with Afghanistan. Was it Kusal Pereira who did that single-handedly for Sri Lanka that year as well? So there is some precedent, and I think Viv Richards also did it against England many years ago. But yeah, you're right. As a kind of a modern-day individual performance, it's unbelievable. And what I also liked about it is you just saw nearly every single part of kind of the human health kind of cycle, didn't you? Yeah, at one point you thought he was dead, or he was practicing to do, or he was practicing to do the luge. I wasn't quite sure which one he was doing, and it was an absolutely thrilling piece of cricket. And just the shots where he literally was just like, I'm not going to move my legs whatsoever because I can't move them, and yet he was still swatting them to the boundary. He was still pulling out the reverse sweeps. You were just like, this guy is, running on a higher power than just the electrolytes in his system.
I agree with Stokes. It was like Stokes at Headingley, but better, I would say.
Yeah.
Stokes got 135 of 360, which is a pretty good go. And obviously it has a massive final wicket partnership.
It was sort of 1 of 80 as well, wasn't he, at one point? Something like that. So
yeah, for all intents and purposes, this was a 1 wicket partnership given the last wicket partnership given the circumstances of the game. So I think comparable from that point of view, except he gets 201 of 293 runs. It's bonkers.
And couldn't move.
And couldn't move. Like literally couldn't move. Have you ever seen the film Zoolander? There's something else that you can compare it to. You've seen the walk-off scene? Yeah, Zoolander and his rival model Hansel. They're having a walk-off to decide who the greatest male model is. It's a point of high tension in the movie, and it's kind of going back and forth. You don't know who's going to win. Zoolander looks like he might have the edge, and then Hansel pulls his underpants, just straight out of his trousers, like somehow gets them through his legs, his penis, all of that business, holds them above his head. Zoolander tries and fails. And I think, I tried to compare it to a couple of things in sports, but like in the wider human culture, I think possibly it's up there. Yes, with Vince Vaughn's performance in Dodgeball or Hansel in the walk-off. Like I'm not.
So you're saying we've got Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn, Glenn Maxwell. That's what we said. That's what we are.
I think it's Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. Sorry, yeah.
You're
right. Yeah. Spot on.
No, to correct you on a great piece of cinema there. Absolutely astonishing. Do you know what else I liked about it? The Ian Smith on comms. Like that was just the icing, the cherry on the cake. Yes, exactly. He shouldn't have to walk off the park. He should be carried off. Like perfect.
He's got a monopoly on these moments, hasn't he?
And rightly so. Best
just always
commentator.
There. Yeah.
Best,
what was your favourite shot?
Commentator.
What was your favourite shot from this innings? Like we need to laud it more.
Right, the reverse sweep where he should have been, like just after the full body cramps, where there's the great picture of him taken from the still of the game.
Full body cramps sounds like an awful indie band, doesn't it?
And then Adam Zampa. What's Adam Zampa coming down, standing by the pitch for? Like that was a real curveball. As though they were going to send in Adam Zampa at that point.
Don't worry, lads, I got this. Scored 28 against England the other day.
I think they'd have been better off getting a literal plank, tying Maxwell to the plank and just leaving him to sort of swing his bat there. But right after that, he played a reverse sweep where he didn't move anything in his body except basically his wrist, fixed it before. It was just like, how have you done that? Because the ball was off stump. It was the perfect delivery, basically, for the circumstances. A guy can't move, bowl a ball on top of off. No, 4 runs. Try again, mate. Like,
I think that's also my favourite. Yeah, I think you've picked exactly the one I had in mind.
Like the violence of the rest of it though was a thing to behold. I mean, like the sixes, the flat bat 4s, so he was just pelting through the leg side just before the full body cramps. He played like a punch off the back foot that went past extra cover. It looked like it was going to be a normal single. It was like, no, 1 second later, it's crashing into the boundary rope. There's not an Afghan fielder in sight. I actually felt a little bit sorry for Afghanistan. I mean, they were on the cusp of pulling off another brilliant victory. They played so well. And then this force of nature turns up. He thinks, you must have thought when he was lying prone on the floor, screaming in agony, and Zampa is standing on the touchline for the second time. You must have thought if you were an Afghan player, divine intervention. Thank you. No.
It's karma, isn't it? That's what it is. It's karma.
Okay, what's it karma for?
I think Australia took a big stance when they boycotted playing against Afghanistan, here Glenn Maxwell, they were forced to play. They didn't want the semi-finals were on the line. They were forced to play Afghanistan. They've come out and said that it's an abomination that the Taliban have taken away the women's team. And what Glenn Maxwell did here was kind of full, kind of almost like wrestling, like wrestling kind of storyline, kind of almost kind of got to the point where it's like, this guy can't do it. He's risen up from the dead. And then I think someone on Twitter was comparing him to The Undertaker. And he's put it back in and rubbed it in the Taliban's faces. So it's one win for Australia, one win for mankind, and a loss for the Taliban.
So what you're saying, Ross, is that not only is this the greatest sports performance of all time, it is one of the great human rights demonstrations we will ever see.
I think so. I think so. There's I think that's what we can say. He's going to go up there with Martin Luther King, and that's going to. I will not be surprised if there is going to be a statue of Glenn Maxwell, if I'm perfectly honest. So, or multiple statues of Glenn Maxwell.
Do you think it will be as good as the one of Sachin Tendulkar?
Well, the one. I think they'll get the guy who did the Cristiano Ronaldo one just to make it very nice.
Should be a bit easier to design the statue, because all you have to do is just get a standing man wafting a bat around. Nice.
Yeah.
That's true.
Or it could be just like, where in the the knights that kind of get buried in the or that thing, they're already laying down. They've already got a thing that they can do.
Oh,
and
I see what you mean.
Glenn Maxwell one, right? Yeah, little crypts and
a mausoleum.
Yeah.
There was some other stuff that happened in the game as well. Zadran, first World Cup century for Afghanistan. He probably thought he'd done a pretty good job. He did the classic go really slow to make sure you get to the century, and then sped up. When he got to his 100, strike rate was 77, finished with a strike rate of 90, so he recovered it a little bit. And it was a pretty good innings. I'm not going to take too much away from him.
He did the Babar Azam. What's wrong with
that? Learn from your hero.
And Afghanistan did actually bowl really well, Max. I mean, they must be absolutely gutted here but they're out the World Cup, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they've got one last go against South Africa, but they'll need a bit of help along the way, won't they, from Sri Lanka toppling New Zealand. So, I mean, to get that close and then fall, not just fall, but in the face of something that unexpected, never seen before, is going to be heartbreaking for them. I mean, the paces up front were incredible. I mean, the movement they were getting through the air at the start, it was obscene. Like the ball was hooping, and they put so much pressure on Australia with the way they were bowling. It basically meant they kind of lost their heads a bit. I mean, David Warner's wicket was off the back of an over of tight bowling, and trapped him on the crease, stopped him scoring runs, and it resulted in a mad shot from another great bit of bowling. It was really impressive, but I do have to wonder, as much as they did just run into a guy who was just steely determination, there are moments, aren't there, with people like Glenn Maxwell where they just set their mind to do something, and you kind of run into an unstoppable force. You just, whatever you do, it just disappears. You're like, well, this is superhuman. What is going on? Like that, we've got no control over this. It's just happening to us. I felt like they did get into that mode of this is happening to us too much, and there wasn't enough where they took a step back and think, hang on a minute, this is insane, but also this is a man who literally can't move. There's probably something we can do to make it a bit harder from him, rather than bowl it sort of on a good length in the arc of him hitting it. Maybe a few wide Yorkers, perhaps the odd slower ball, maybe throw a short one in there. Something a little bit different, rather than just putting it in the bit where he can actually swing the bat. I think they missed a trick, and they got swept up, if anything, by the whole thing.
Also,
which is fair enough.
Bowl your good bowlers. Like, don't let it go to the death. Like, they were just like, no, we need to keep these overs back. I literally try to get the guy out and try or when Pat Cummins is just flat batting it back, just be like, no, bring your good bowlers on. Don't fucking bowl your pie chuckers. And like Naveen Ul-Haq ends up like not bowling his full quota. Mujibur Rahman, although he went round the park at the end, doesn't bowl his full quota. That is poor captaincy.
Yeah, I think they did. They did let it slip. I mean, I do think there was an element of, oh my God, this is happening. I don't know what to do about it. And I think to some extent you can be forgiven for that. Like, we haven't ever seen anything like this happen before. I read the list of sort of records that were broken. This was a completely freakish performance from Glenn Maxwell. And I think to some extent you can be forgiven for that. Like, we haven't ever seen anything like this happen before. I read the list of sort of records that were broken. This was a from Maxwell. Like you can't legislate for it. If you look at any predictor for that game, and it will tell you that there was about a 1 or a 0 to a 1% chance of Australia winning that match after the seventh wicket falls. Like it was that far gone. The run rate ends up getting up as well, and then Maxwell unleashes. I mean, it was fury distilled, wasn't it? It was a spectacular display of vintage hitting, steely determination and innovation as well. Brilliant.
Also
sheer
puts
brilliance.
a complete mockery on the concept of how important footwork is as a batter.
Well,
if you're playing Maxwell,
Chris Hale never moved his feet and he did it right as well.
Imagine having that much hand-eye coordination and upper body strength. Imagine it.
Well, what I like, Jack, you used the word innovation there. What I really like is Glenn Maxwell's no-look sweep shot that he's kind of just pulled out of the locker in the last kind of couple of games. Having played a lot of amateur cricket, I've seen a lot of those, and it could just go on to hit the stumps and you're out clean bowled. Glenn Maxwell seems to do this no-look, and he literally whips it away. It goes for 6, goes for 4. It's absolutely insane how good he is. Yeah,
unbelievable. I mean, like, I still, part of me can't actually believe that this happened.
It's hard to process.
It is something that's just so far out of left field. I mean, there was a large portion of the innings where him and Cummins were batting together, where effectively what it looked like they were actually trying to do, and probably maybe even what they actually were trying to do, was just reduce the net run rate deficit so that they could lose the match, but it wouldn't mean that they were at risk of being caught by anyone lower down the table and having to play India or something in the semi-final. Like I actually don't even know if they were thinking about trying to win the match.
Let's just get it close.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just lunacy. Anything else left on this particular game?
I've had one other thought of a comparison. Chris Pratt's home run in Moneyball.
Is this the is this the Hatterberg one?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that actually happens in real life, but
that did happen, but like that I don't feel in a 162 game season carries the weight of this. Nor do I think it has the comeback value of this story. As feel good as it is, and as nice an end to what the second act of that movie.
I'm just trying to think. I can't think of a single moment where on top of all the comeback side of it, the single guy taking it single-handedly, basically, where also that person was fundamentally incapacitated.
Tiger Woods winning the Masters, maybe that's one on his comeback.
Tiger Woods, that's a pretty astute one, I think. I don't know. I mean, because I think this is a combination of brilliance and amazing comeback, and I don't know if that combines them to the same extent. I think it was more foreseeable, as ridiculous as it sounds, that Tiger Woods would win another major than it was that Australia would win this particular cricket match. And I think that the sheer mastery of the sport by Maxwell here was greater than Woods in that particular game, in that particular win. Like Tiger Woods when he won at Pebble Beach, one of the greatest 4 rounds of golf you'll ever see. It was like that, plus the Tiger Woods comeback story. So I'm saying not quite, but it's a good shout.
Well, and we also have to remember that Bikram from our cricket club, so a good shout out to I Don't Like Cricket Club, he called it. He was Australia going to win. They were 5-6 wickets down. Yeah. And Bikram is someone who we have a lot of respect for in terms of his political beliefs and getting things right. So, it's a monumental achievement.
I mean, he did also uncall it with 10 runs to go, but never mind.
Yeah. Oh man. You got to spare a thought for Majib as well. I mean, that's got to be the.
We've all dropped catches.
I wouldn't be leaving
going on to hit runs. We've all done it, but I mean, Jesus.
I don't think I could leave my room for the next week.
You've just dropped the guy on 33, who then goes on to play the greatest innings in cricket history.
I tell you what, he better hope the Taliban don't care too much about cricket. That's all I'm saying. So.
Oh, Ross, you edgelord. Right, should we take a break? We've still got, in part 2 here, we've still got one of the stories of the World Cup. It's Angelo Mathews being timed out. Shakib Al Hassan with the biggest shit-eating grin you could possibly imagine. Umpires in disarray. And implications, of course, for the all-important Champions Trophy qualification race. We'll take a break and we'll come back in a moment.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, do hit like and do hit subscribe. That helps us out enormously with the algorithm and, growing the brand. It's all about the brand. And the same if you're on iTunes or Spotify. I think we've got a couple more reviews in, so I'll dig them out. And if I remember, which I can't promise I will, I'll read them out before the end of the show. Max, yesterday, Bangladesh took on Sri Lanka. I saw people unironically tweeting that this might be the biggest rivalry in cricket at the moment. Tell us what happened.
Well, I think we have to first off give all sorts of credit to Shakib Al Hassan for finding a way somehow to make an atmosphere more poisonous than the air in Delhi in which this game was played, because the index for the air quality index was worse than what the World Health Organization suggests you should go outside in and do any sport in. But they got a doctor in to come and do some stuff with some sprinklers, and then apparently it was okay. So they played, despite the fact that some of the Bangladesh players didn't actually train the day before because it was so bad. But they were out there. And, well, we're all very thankful for the fact that they were out there, because some cricket happened. There were some wickets and there were some runs. And what that meant was that Angelo Mathews came to the crease. And he came to the crease in an amount of time that was either less than or more than 2 minutes. Not sure. Different stories on that point. But what we do know is that his helmet broke. Shakib appealed, he was given out, and that was that. That's the story, and that's what we'll be focusing on. What you might have forgotten, just like you might have forgotten that Zadran scored 100 earlier, was that Sri Lanka got a bit annoyed, and he scored 100. A quality innings from him, and Sri Lanka 279 all out in the end. Not a bad score. And, the world of karma and the spirit of cricket brigade were all up for Sri Lanka knocking Bangladesh over and winning the game. Not to be this time. Karma did not surface. A couple of early wickets, but then all that meant was that Shakib Al Hassan came out to bat. He was dropped off Angelo Mathews and then scored 82 off 65. He eventually fell to Angelo Mathews, and we got to see a nice send-off, a tapping of the wrist. I think there wasn't quite enough shithousery. There's been lots of comparisons made to the Bairstow incident. When that happened, Stuart Broad came out and was a total dickhead. And I would have liked to see similar behaviour from the Sri Lanka players. What I wanted was a guard of honour, an ironic guard of honour for Shakib as he came to the wicket, and then to encircle him and just stand there for 2 minutes and then appeal. That's what I would have done as the captain in that situation. But that's not what happened. And Bangladesh, they got there in the end. Concerned about net run rate, threw a few wickets away towards the end, and there was a sniff of an unlikely victory, but nothing doing in the end. And Bangladesh, made it home rather comfortably. But yeah, the result of that game, it means Bangladesh is still in with the Champions Trophy shout. It means England is still well within a shout of not making the Champions Trophy, which is exciting. But the result of the game, very much second fiddle to the controversy at hand.
Do you want my opinion on the controversy, and then we'll let people weigh in? I think it's a pretty simple debate. It's a debate between people who think it's okay to wear a helmet and protect your brain and your face from a cricket ball, and people who are idiots. I think there's two ways. Like, it's a balanced debate. Give them their due. Like, if you're a moron, yeah, maybe it is out. Like, if you are really, really stupid and you look at that and you look at all the evidence and the fact that the fourth umpire went out and lied. It had taken 2 minutes to get to the crease, and you weigh it all up and you think and you read the laws and you go, no, I'm an idiot, then yeah, it's out. Yeah, but otherwise, pretty fucking obvious. You should have just been able to get another helmet. Ross, what did you think?
I've got an awful lot of time for Shakib Al Hassan.
Okay,
I
talk
think,
to me.
I think to
So you've chosen the side of the idiot.
even to remotely consider that this should be the thing that you do to win a game of cricket is just brilliant. And there is a lot that's been said around kind of the morality of cricket, the spirit of cricket. And here, Shakib Al Hassan, the man who is famed for being a complete and utter arse, decides to somehow go to the utter pantheon of cricket. Right, this guy is now enshrined in history of kind of making sure that Angelo Mathews was timed out the first time in international cricket history, and it is Shakib Al Hassan with that shit-eating grin, and it will go down as one of the best bits of shithousery I've ever witnessed. So yeah, I've got a lot of time, but I think it's completely wrong. I'm on the side of I'm glad it happened. And it's now, it probably is my favourite ever dismissal after Ashwin man-cadding Joss Butler. So I'm overjoyed that Shakib Al Hassan kind of let us have this moment together.
I mean, it was. There is an angle of there that I can sympathise with, and I've seen a few other people who were just sort of happy to see a timed out. They were so happy that there was a timed out that they forgot anything else. Like
it shouldn't have happened. Yeah, should it?
Yeah,
all it happened. The time, no, that's fine. Don't worry about that. We like the spectacle.
Yeah,
So cricket's entertainment is not sport. The rules are there. They are guidelines.
Max, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I do. There's a part of me that agrees with Ross about the Shakib thing. Like, if you're going to be a dickhead, I mean, go pedal to the metal, like be a proper dickhead, and you cannot say anything other than Shakib does that. So fair play for sticking to your guns and sticking to yourself, being true to yourself. That's fun. I mean, there's an argument that people have made that timed out is something that's in the laws of the game, so he's perfectly within his right to appeal, and that is true. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. That's an opinion point, and as far as opinion points go, that is the only one available in this particular discussion, because as you've both said, I mean, the timing point, like you said, the umpire literally just lied. Like the fourth umpire lied. Like we've seen the timestamps. It was like 1 minute 55 when he was playing with his strap. People like picking out like the laws of the game and whatever. I mean, that's all nonsense. I mean, by the way, the laws of the game is 3 minutes. It's the conditions of the World Cup that's 2 minutes. Why they changed it is beyond me. But just there's
drama. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about it, would we?
No, that's
another
true.
win for the ICC. That's all I can say. Is another win.
There are two things that wind me up. One is the fact that spirit of cricket is being brought into it again. And I think the whole concept of spirit of cricket is like, it's a complete misnomer, because it's like, why does cricket have a thing called spirit of cricket? Because it's literally sportsmanship. Like in a game of football, it is within the rules. If someone goes down injured on the other team and kicks the ball out for a throw in, it is within the rules for you to take the throw in and then try and score a goal yourself. And
I've seen that happen.
That does happen, and most of the time when that happens, the other team are then forced to just let the other team run through and score, because it's not good sportsmanship. And like, you don't need a spirit of cricket and start comparing between the rules and say, oh, only cricket's got spirit of cricket. As a sportsmanship thing, like sometimes just it's not that hard to work out. But the one that I think is the most stupid argument of all is people who are saying that Angelo Mathews needs to check his equipment and it's on him to be prepared. Like, does anybody know how breaking stuff happens? Like, it's not like, oh, I've got this helmet and like, you know what, I think this is going to break in a minute, I should get another helmet. Like, stuff breaks 1 minute, it's working and you think it's working, and then it's broken and you didn't see that coming. And that's what happens when stuff breaks. So unfortunately, Angelo Mathews, not soothsayer, not able to peer into the future and realize that his strap might be about to break, so had to go and get another. I mean, like, come on, like, what's wrong with people?
Yeah, I think you're right there, Max. Just think of all those poor people who have accidentally plummeted to their death from doing jumping out of a plane and skydiving, and their parachute failing. That is their fault, is what these people are kind of adhering to. Awful. How can you be on that side of things, eh?
There are some actual rules on this, because there's the fourth umpire came down, didn't he? It was very PGMOL. How do you say that?
PG
Pugmore.
Mole? I don't know.
PG Mole. Pugmore. There's like the
Pugmore.
referees in football when they come out and they're like, no, this was all above board. Look, and here's our process. It had that vibe to it. So you knew something had gone wrong. Like you knew
It's
straight
pronounced
away.
Pummel.
Yeah.
The
One-
G is silent, like.
I mean, it was. We'll get onto the rules in a second, but one, to claim that it was 2 minutes when there's literally a video that shows that he was there. He was actually there at 1 minute 50 at the crease, and the umpire wasn't ready. I mean, like, what's he supposed to do? Erasmus is fiddling with the bails. So I don't think that really applies. To then claim to the cricket watching public, who know this won't be true because we know enough about cricket to know that this won't be true, that they time this for every incoming batsman is completely bonkers. Like, I mean, like,
Such
of
a
all
lie.
the
It's such a
lies-
lie.
One, who is timing this? Two, when do they start the timer? Is it from the moment the ball is caught? Is it from the decision? Is it from the DRS check when you check whether it was a fair delivery or not? No, we don't know any of that. Like, it's obviously
If they did time it, they'd have known that he was there in 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Exactly. If they'd gone through it, they checked it and they checked it on the timer. What would have happened is someone would have had to go back and rewatch the whole 2 minutes to decide whether it was out or not. That's exactly what would have happened. Second, on the rules, and I think these are important because there is a debate around this. And once the helmet snaps, he doesn't face the first ball for over 2 minutes. Like that is true. Like he is not ready at the 2 minute mark. But there are a couple of rules that are worth mentioning here around safety, and I actually think this is a safety issue. It's nothing to do with the spirit of cricket. Like people who want to bat in a helmet should be allowed to bat in a helmet. Doesn't matter if it's a spinner, doesn't matter if it's a quick bowler. Like if you choose to bat in a helmet, that's fine. Shakib might only be bowling 55 miles an hour, but that ain't gonna be no joke if you sweep it into your face. Like if you want to wear a grill to stop yourself losing some teeth,
someone picks up a square leg, shies at the stump, slips up the hand, and hoons it into the side of your face.
Exactly. Like, I mean, why do wicket keepers wear helmets? Like, it's completely ridiculous that you would say that it was fine. It was a spinner. If he wants to wear a helmet, he's an old man. Angelo Mathews is 5,000 years old. Like, if he wants a helmet, he should be allowed to wear a helmet. So his condition or law 2.7.2. And I hate having to do this. I really fucking hate people who can't choose common sense. But it is actually written down. Conditions should be regarded as dangerous if there is actual and foreseeable risk to the safety of any player or umpire. I would say broken helmet, foreseeable risk that he might hurt himself there. But that's just me. Like my limited understanding of risk, something that might happen and might be quite bad. That's just me. There's another 2.8 suspension of play in dangerous and unreasonable conditions. The umpire... This is 2.8.2 if you're interested. The umpire shall immediately suspend play or not allow play to start or to recommence if either umpire considers the conditions of ground, weather or light or any other circumstances, like, for example, a broken helmet, as being dangerous or unreasonable. I mean, like, it literally couldn't be clearer. And so we go through this. Ross, you were laughing at Shakib for appealing. I think you've got to be a massive dick to appeal. But the correct response from the umpire to that appeal should have been, shut the fuck up, you insufferable fucking idiot. The guy's broken his helmet. He's going to get a new one so that he's safe.
Yeah.
Then we will play some cricket. Like if it happened to ball
he's
later,
here.
he
It's
would
not
go
like
and get a
he's
new
it's not
helmet.
like he's on the boundary pissing around with a helmet. He's literally in the middle. Like the time, there's nothing wrong with the timed out law. Like having it is perfectly acceptable. It's there to stop, shithousery, like wasting time. And that's not what was going on. So I mean, yeah.
I hate
question.
people that talk about the laws. Go on, Ross.
What would happen if that was Virat Kohli and that happened to it?
We wouldn't be out, would he? As simple as that.
But there's an awful lot of people on our Twitter, an awful lot of fans who are probably Virat Kohli fans as well. If that would be Virat Kohli in the middle, there is zero chance of that timeout happening.
As you well know, Ross, Virat Kohli would be so prepared on getting to the crease that there is no chance of a strap on his helmet breaking. Because Virat Kohli
is God.
All-knowing and all-seeing, and would therefore be able to tell that his helmet was about to break and would have got a new one before he came out. And that's just because that's how good Virat Kohli is, and you need to remember that because
to
it's
be
just a
fair,
stupid question.
there is to fail to prepare to fail, as they say. So yes, well,
I would like all aspects of all cricket gear stress tested with within an inch of its life just before the moment you enter the field of play, just in case this happens. Matthews probably batted in that helmet in the nets this morning, and it was fine. Like you say, he needs to check his gear. He probably did, and then it broke because that's something that happens sometimes.
It's not like, I mean, we've got quite a lot of Angelo Mathews on record as well. It's not like he's doing this all the time. It's not like his helmet's breaking every 2 seconds. I mean, there's probably thousands and thousands.
No, he's done it again. He's done it. He's pulled this one before. It was his pad last time, glove the time before.
Yeah. Matthews said as well that the umpire. Go on, Ross. Go on.
Brilliant win for Bangladesh. Brilliant win for them. Turn them over. Well done, them. Shakib Al-Hassan got in their heads. This was we got war written at the top. This was mental warfare as well as
Shakib literally said it was war.
I mean, that was bonkers. He said afterwards, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I felt like I was at war. Yeah, with that well-known war where you have 50 overs to kill as many of the opposition as possible, before you have a rehydration break, a snack, and then they try and do it to you. What an absolute fucking idiot. There are actual wars happening. Fucking moron. Saying stuff like that. He knows how much of a dick he is. He also knows how, he's massively gotten away with this. The umpire has, dropped the ball. And Matthews said the umpire didn't even realise he'd broken his helmet. What's the umpire fucking doing? Like, what's the?
To be fair to Mariah Rasmus, his eyes are. He's got quite a lot around his eyes. Might not be able to see perfectly.
He's waving his helmet around. They're running on another helmet. Like, it's unfathomable to me that they actually that happened. I mean, like it's terrible umpiring.
So what I was disappointed on was Angelo Mathews almost had Shakib Al-Hassan out really early on. He got dropped at cover. Now that would have been like the celebration of all celebrations, right? Because it was still there. The aggression, the anger, the upset was still there. Towards the end, where he got him out, the game was pretty much done. Really, Shakib batted well. And Angelo Mathews didn't really get to have the last laugh, did he? So disappointing on that.
Rob got a little bit of a
standoff. Shit at fielding.
It made for a good picture, didn't it? The Angelo Mathews tapping his wrist,
like the Marlon Samuels type.
Yeah,
but
I think we've covered that mainly. I mean, there are some people who are like, well, what happens if this happened 9 wickets down at the end of a test match in Barbados with the sun going down? We didn't, did it?
No, that's what the timed out rule's there for.
Also, this is the first time it's ever happened in international cricket. You've literally got thousands of games to pick from, and they're just like, well, this could happen next time, couldn't it? We need a precedent being set here, lads. All right.
I'd have no problem with it being given out if that was the scenario, actually, to be perfectly honest. Like, I wouldn't have a problem if some number 11 was too dozy to have their strap done up. It was the 25th over of an ODI batting first. These were there within 2 minutes. Like, it's just so obvious what you need to do there if you're the umpire. It's in the rules. It's not. You're not actually, as we've discussed, you're not actually breaking the rules. You're perfectly entitled to suspend play whenever you want if you think there's a safety issue and you're the umpire. Like, it doesn't really get more unsafe than getting pinged in the head by a cricket ball. It happened to me last year. I took one at cover. And it really hurt. Lucky not to really, really fucked up by that. And just don't ask people. Instead. Yeah, just don't ask people to do really dangerous things in the name of sport. I mean, like, what? How's that a reasonable response? Yeah, don't worry. You can have a new helmet whenever you want. All you have to do is risk losing a few teeth for a ball first. That's right. Even if this is the other thing. Even if there's only a 1 in 1,000 chance of that, it's reasonable to wear a helmet. This is why people wear a helmet. Like, you don't actually get hit in the head very often in cricket, do you? Like, it's not people aren't taking one to the chin every 3 balls. It's not like that. But the damage it does if you do get hit is so significant that it's worth putting one on. Like,
someone did literally die once.
Yeah, it's how risk works. Works.
Anything
else?
I didn't expect this thing to rile you up so much, Jack. All of yesterday you were on Twitter arguing with people. Now you've just gone on a brilliant rant. Like, this is just pure box office.
Of some of the arguments, isn't it? That makes it more of a thing. Like, if you just looked at it in microcosm and everyone was like, "Well, yeah, that's really dumb," it would sort of all go away. But like the fact that there are still people, apologists, who are still being like, "It's totally within the rules." Like, I don't know. It's just like it feels like such a bizarre stance to take in this situation. Like the Johnny Bairstow thing again, like, there's more nuance to it. People are throwing Mancads in as a comparison. Like, I hate whataboutery anyway, but like throwing Mancads into this is just nonsense. It's not even close to the same thing. It's just the discourse and the debate about it is just so, I don't know, short-sighted. I think it's got me riled up as well. I think that's what it is. That's why I feel so like, just there's so much to talk about it, because some of the arguments that have been put forward just seem so bizarre to me. But maybe to everyone else, I'm the one who's an idiot. So
it's Confederacy of dunces.
Yep,
world's full of idiots. Think how stupid the average person is. Half of them are stupider than that, Max.
Oh God.
Yeah, like there's a way to end part 2. Do like and subscribe to the Cricket Podcast, unless you're an idiot, and then we want you to fuck off elsewhere. We're going to take a break, and then we'll talk about the rest of the cricket this week.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
I'm jazzed up, boys, now. I'm really jazzed up. So I'm glad that we have more really exciting cricket matches to talk about. We did actually talk about England v Netherlands. So there's 3 matches coming up. Our next show will be on Friday. This is obviously an emergency podcast. We brought forward the show by a day because of the spectacular drama of the last couple of matches. Next pod will be on Friday. We've got England, Netherlands, New Zealand, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Afghanistan to talk about. England... And this is actually the now we know what happened in the game yesterday. We know what the circumstances are. If England win and win convincingly against the Netherlands, book your tickets to Pakistan, boys. Go to the Champions Trophy. That is a carrot, Ross. Will they pull it off?
That is a carrot. No, I don't think they're going to. I think the Netherlands are going to beat them, if I'm perfectly honest. I think that England have been found out repeatedly that they haven't prepared in the way. They've been complacent. They've not been able to rotate their squad to kind of get the most out of the team. And there's a complete and utter bereft of form throughout the different players that they've got in there. And I think Netherlands see this as a huge opportunity. They are far more motivated, I think, to kind of turn England over. They see England as vulnerable. They see them as prey. So, and I think the Netherlands predator, sans the runouts, hopefully, will turn up in a big style and give England a really good game. And I think they have a really good chance of getting the better of them.
There we are, Max. Defend England. Be St. George.
Yeah, well, Netherlands, they've come a long way. They've had a long tournament here, but I think
England have had to come further. The Netherlands is closer to India than England.
Yeah, but from considering the amount of cricket they play and the intensity involved, I think the Netherlands they're starting to lose a bit of vim now. Those runouts sort of they're a sign of a team that have given all they can, and suddenly it's all starting to just go a little bit wrong. They've tried, they've given their all.
The Viagra's wearing off, is it, Max? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. The erection is fading,
petering out.
And they've got 2 more games to go. They've got India last, and they've had a great time, but I think realistically, probably a bridge too far to take down England. England aside, who need to win this game to make sure they're in the Champions Trophy. It would be really embarrassing for them if they don't make it to the Champions Trophy. And there's stuff to play for. There's stuff on the line. I think there's an opportunity to bring in someone like Gus Atkinson, who'll want to sort of prove themselves and show that they've got what it takes. So I think there's enough in this for England to want to go and put in a performance, aside from pride, of course, and not losing to the Netherlands. I think they'll have too much. And it should be a reasonably comfortable win for England, but the Netherlands did beat South Africa, so there's every chance. But I'm going with England this time.
I think England are going to pull it off as well, and I think they're going to spin it as a really successful World Cup campaign when they do, and they seal their place to the Champions Trophy. That's my feeling on this. I think there'll be loads of fake positivity around the most meager accomplishments you could possibly imagine.
Well, if it got to the final and lost, it would just be being first loser, wouldn't it? So what's the difference? Scraping into the
That is
Champions
very
Trophy
true.
thanks to beating Netherlands, losing in the final. No difference. Same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think England will pull that off. The day after, we've got a game which has serious qualification implications, actually. It's New Zealand v Sri Lanka. New Zealand, 4 losses in a row. Playing Sri Lanka, 3 losses in a row. For, well, I wouldn't say they're necessarily their World Cup lives, because I think it's more than possible that Pakistan lose to England in the final match of their tournament. But effectively, a win probably gets them through, a convincing one, almost certainly. Max, this time you can have first say. New Zealand or Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka are going to win this, and I'll tell you the blueprint. Basically, they're going to test Adrian Holdstock's theory, and they're going to appeal for timed out every time they take a wicket, and they'll get 3. And New Zealand will be skittled out for 200, and Sri Lanka will chase it down in no time in Bangalore.
Okay, well, there's one angle. Ross, what do you reckon?
I would quite like Sri Lanka to win, but I think New Zealand actually haven't been playing that bad of cricket. I think they've been unlucky a couple of times in those 4 back-to-back losses. They've clearly got the batting, I think, to overcome this, what is quite a poor bowling lineup for Sri Lanka. So I think the Kiwis will turn them over on this one with, I think, relative ease would be my guess.
Are you looking forward to any particular battles between the 2 sides?
Well, I don't think there's going to be a battle. There's no war, is there? When you're playing against New Zealand, they're like the nicest guys in cricket. Like the most reaction you're going to get is maybe a.
It's more like a
summit
summit when it comes to New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of diplomacy kind of going on, and I just think it's just unlikely. The most heated they get is kind of Trent Boult, and that's it's not really the most aggressive person anyway. He kind of looks like he's 14, doesn't he? So it's a bit like, well, this isn't really going to make too much difference. So.
You say that,
I mean, like for Sri Lanka, I mean, Madhushankar's been the main guy for them with the ball. 21 wickets, amazing performance from him. But the left arm over the wicket, swinging back into the right hander has been much of the threat that he's carried. So with left hand as Conway and Ravindra in the New Zealand side, it'll be interesting to see whether he's got the same ability to nick the wickets out against those 2, and if New Zealand can get off to a solid start, then I think they're halfway there, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Ross, you say there were no wars, or New Zealand aren't a warlike people. Isn't that where they hosted Lord of the Rings? Because that was quite a big war. Just as
like the likes of Kusal Mendes are quite diminutive, and they could represent.
No, let's leave the short jokes out now.
Oh, because, I've not made a short joke about you in years, Max.
A long time, isn't it? Yeah.
You almost made one about yourself there, Max. I'd say. Apparently, there's some rain about, so that could affect things. What would a point do for New Zealand? It probably really not that much. They'd be relying on England to beat Pakistan in the last match. I mean, that would be a pretty New Zealand way, I would say, to go out of a World Cup, to have a rain off against Sri Lanka, and then England to continue to stink the place out against Pakistan. Although it would be a very Pakistan way to not qualify, to have to beat England, who have been historically bad at this tournament, to get through and then to lose. So, I mean, it's all to play for. Final match we're going to talk about is South Africa v Afghanistan. Afghanistan still got a chance. It's a smaller chance than before, 2 hours ago. But still,
if it rains in the New Zealand game and Pakistan shit the bed against England, then it's all theirs to play for.
Yeah, it could happen. South Africa really not playing for anything. They're going to be playing Australia, aren't they, in the semi-finals? Could that mean they take their eye off the ball, Max?
I think Afghanistan are going to be absolutely flattened by what happened today, and if they can pick themselves up off the canvas, I'll be surprised, to be honest. I think it's going to be a real finisher for them. And South Africa, on the back of the India shellacking, will want to come and put in a bit of a performance to get their tails back up for the semi-final. So I think it could be a bit of a perfect storm for Afghanistan in this case, but we'll see.
Ross?
No, I completely agree. We shall see, and Yeah, I just think it's going to be at least an enjoyable last few games of this group stage, which feels like it's gone on for a long time. Being an England fan,
Yeah, even if New
I'm
Zealand
sure.
do beat Sri Lanka, there'll be something in it for the Pakistan game. You know, they might need to beat England by many runs or chase something down in 25 overs. But as long as it's still on the line, it could make for an exciting few hours at least of the final game.
I mean, it has
hopefully
objectively
Babrazam
also
is like a
been long
triple
time.
century. That would be nice. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? A triple century, so that my prediction for highest runs scorer should come in instead of being an absolute shocker.
Yeah, well, Shipman Gill's got a lot of heavy lifting to do in the knockouts, or against the Netherlands, if I'm going to be right. So we're in the
Who
same
did I
boat
pick?
there.
I can't even remember who I picked. Did anyone write that
David
down?
Warner, I think.
Not the worst pick ever. Not the best. Is how I'd assess that. Also for Afghanistan, I mean, like, you've just been Maxwelled. Do you really want to be playing a team with Heinrich Klaassen in it? You could do the double. Lads, I think that's it for the Cricket Podcast. Thanks very much for watching and listening, everyone. It has been a pleasure. Do click like and do obviously click subscribe as well. It helps us out on whatever platform that you're listening on. I said there were a few reviews to get to. So we've got, he's in the chat here, I think. One from Messy Chairs and Apple Podcasts. Always fun and informative. Lots of knowledge and good research. In brackets, not you, Jack. Shade. Goes into creating a great show that always entertains, even if their predictions aren't always 100% right. Well, to be honest, they're mostly wrong, but then so are mine, I guess. Always worth a listen. So that's, it's sort of, what's the opposite of a humble brag, but directed at somebody?
Backhanded compliment.
A backhanded insult, I think.
Bit of a
5
neg.
stars.
Bit of a neg, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 5 stars, but here are the things wrong with you. And then this one, the very pinnacle of cricket analysis and entertainment. This is a long one, so we'll finish on this. Think of everything that shatters your cricket watching experience. Harsh banality, butcher's rabid partisanship. Oh, we've had this one. Well,
We've had this one. It's RK.
Okay, well, all right. Thanks, RK. Look, we're going to wrap up there. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Goodbye.